Hello, good morning. So I invited you here for a yarn, didn't I? Oh, my nails are shocking. Need to sort that out. Good morning. I hope everyone is well. I've had a few people message me saying I'm running late, I want to chat. So let's give them 30 seconds while we're giving them 30 seconds for our little morning tea break. I will share with you a couple of awesome things. Check out my headband. If you can see, it's got little strawberries on it. My mum made it. She made 3. One for me, one for Yoshi, one for Frente. So, because I'm not half strawberry crazy, am I? Anyway, all right. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to tap into morning rituals, which is so important. And this is going to be a morning ritual every Tuesday. And the importance of setting almost like a little Tetris plan of your day. So we're going to touch on that. And we're also going to touch on land titles, the topic of land titles. And look, we've only got a brief little moment together, so we won't go too far down the rabbit hole. So just a disclaimer, if anyone wants to really dive down any topic or question, just shoot me a message. Happy to do that. By the way, yes, my 2 tea bag. I like my tea strong. So yeah, 2 tea bags, and it's Yorkshire tea. I like majority actually, but anyway. All right, so just want to check. These are life. These are life. I actually got them ages ago, and then we were cleaning out the garage to put Lotso the van in there, and this box was uncovered. How could I have forgotten these? So I'm going to Love Fest on the weekend. If you're in the Northern Rivers, come find me Saturday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Love Fest is in Byron Bay. And if you're a Warrior at Law member, we've shared about it in the Telegram group there. And I think I've also shared it on my Instagram. So Love Fest is all about bringing together holistic, good vibes of love, of care, of empathy, of holistic living, wellness, and about, our own sovereignty, who we are. So find me. Apparently they're setting up a little corner for me with cushions and blankets, and come over and have a chat, and we can talk about purpose, mission, legacy, what it means to be of service, the difference between the public jurisdiction and the private jurisdiction. And those of you who know me, I don't really like to call it the private jurisdiction because, again, disclaimer, guys, these are just my own humble thoughts, just directly from me, okay? There's no such thing as living in the private. So I bet you now in the next 24 hours, I'm going to get all these comments going, what do you mean? So-and-so did it. Okay, I'm yet to find someone on this planet anyway who is 100% living in the private. There are separate jurisdictions. We've got that public jurisdiction, which we all know too well about. We were born into it. We were programmed into it. Public jurisdiction, we know it. Government departments, non-government departments, the registration number on a birth certificate, Medicare if you're in Australia, NHS if you're in the UK, social security number if you're in the USA, and all the things that go with that. They're all contracts that the name on our birth certificate has. That is the public. We do trade, commerce, business, employers, employees, profit, loss, all the things, right? We have driving licenses, passports. So that is that public jurisdiction where we can choose to get benefits of those services, those benefits. Then we have a lot of the, I call them the private, truther, sovereign freedom groups. They call it, let's live in the private. What does that mean? Elon Musk has told me there are no shuttles going to Privacy Planet this week. So, if I can't get on a shuttle to Privacy Planet, and I've checked all the caves, they might be physically private, but I'll be very isolated and I won't be able to access anything. So there's no such thing as living under a rock or in a privacy cave. Now, there are a few select amazing living men and women who they're probably 99% there, but they've had financial backing, right? They're not short of a quid. And they have known certain processes, but it's a very, very, very high level of responsibility because, and I heard Zev talk about this at the moment, Warrior at Law is travelling around Australia with the Remedy with Realism workshop. We've got Cairns and Perth to go. We've been to Adelaide, Melbourne, Gold Coast, and Cairns next week, and then Perth 2 weeks later. And I hear him in that workshop, share that to live in the private, you would not be able to benefit from any services or processes that the public jurisdiction provide. So as soon as you walk out your privacy cave or front door, what are you going to do? Now, if you're a billionaire, you can set up your own hospitals, your own airline, right? Your own water supply, electricity. I mean, we could all go off grid, right? But you get where I'm going with that. Okay, it's a very high level of responsibility where you can't interact as much as you would. So again, I don't want to harp on this topic because it's a topic that I could really harp on all day, and we're only having a quick cuppa together. But you see where I'm going with that. But there is such a thing as existing on two separate highways. We can exist on that public highway when we need to, right? When we need to use a benefit or service or step outside the front door, right? Even to go to the farmer's market, we can try and live as sovereign as we can. And if you want to know what the difference between sovereign and sovereign is, and there's a big difference, and words are really important because words cast spells, go have a look at my other video regarding the difference between sovereign and sovereign, because it is important. I prefer to be sovereign. I can live as sovereign as I can, be as self-responsible, self-reliant as I can. But even if I go to the farmer's market and get my fruit and veg, I need to barter in something. And if I can't trade, right, I'm going to have to use fiat currency, which means I've had to go to the ATM, which is then monitored by AUSTRAC, or I tap a card, which is also monitored by AUSTRAC, and I use a bank account. So, all right. So anyway, we're going to touch on land titles because quite a few wonderful living men and women talk about the panic of, no longer being able to have their parchment paper land title anymore and how they feel about that. And I can see that, over the past few years, I call it scaremongering, to be honest, because there's nothing wrong with making us aware of different topics, but I implore the ones who are making you aware of these topics to actually do their due diligence and research things, right? Look at the domino effect of what they're saying and what they're doing and the real data. And so again, this is just a disclaimer, right? We're just throwing ideas out there. I don't want you to come at me for anything that I'm sharing. It comes from a place of love, but it also comes from a place of clarity. And it comes from a place of, I don't want you to hone in your energy on something that's just gobbledygook, right? So Yes, in the 2000s, in every state, legislation was passed to void the paper land titles if you own property, right? Now, we're in Australia and in many countries around the world, we base our property ownership on the Torrens title system. Torrens title system began in Australia, in South Australia, in 1858. So I implore you just to go look at what the Torrens title system means. We don't own anything. You're basically the holder of the title, the crown. Now I'm going to put this in inverted commas because this is a topic for another day. The crown apparently owns it. I don't know what root title they divided up to begin with, though, but yes, apparently the crown owns it. Those who are having these discussions with me will nod their head. But anyway, so we use the Torrens title system, and I'm saying everything in layman's terms. I really implore you to go and research this yourself. But technically what it means is it's still owned by the Crown. You're basically just the title of being able to use that property, but we can't do anything we want with that property, can we? No. And so we used to have paper titles, all right? So you would either buy a house outright and at the land titles office would issue you a piece of paper, right, your certificate, or you would not be able to buy a property outright, so you'd go to a bank. And then the bank is part of this little situation now. And so then on the land title, your name or a trust name would be on the land title. However, it's encumbered by whatever bank, Commonwealth Bank. Okay, so again, that happened. Now in the 2000s, and I'm not very good. I never was good at history at school about retaining the dates. I have to look it up. So someone else for me, please look up the exact year. Let's look at Queensland, for example. I don't know, 2003. That's just off the top of my head, but somewhere in the 2000s, legislation was passed that they were going to phase out the paper land titles and not just phase them out, even if you still had your paper land title, they have been made null and void. So they're not worth the paper that they're on anyway, right? So this was to create digital land titles, right? So now what happened was each state threw out a tender to private IT companies to win that contract to hold on their servers all of these digital certificates, because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of them. So it was outsourced to private IT companies. And again, each state has a different company. So if you guys know, if you look up Queensland, there's a particular private company that holds all the digital certificates. In New South Wales, it's a different private company, etc., etc. I feel like one of them starts with P. Could you please put that in the comments? So now they're held, and you could go to the land titles office or you can go to your local council and they will just give you a printout of that digital certificate. If you have that digital certificate, the name of that private company is on the certificate. You know, whether they're called Pexora or whatever they're called, Pexora Proprietary Limited, I'm just making that up. So they now hold the digital title. And over the last few years, I've seen a lot of truther groups and, you know, really well-educated mentors share the worry of that. And, you know, the Chinese whispers of, well, you know, the digital asset could be changed. You know, it's digital. They could go in and change that. How cute, the bubbles. They could go ahead and change that digital title, because we know how digitization works. So they could edit the title certificate, couldn't they? It's not with us, it's with them being held on a server. And are they going to take our properties away from us? And is that the reason why they're doing it, etc., etc.? Now, again, I'm not going down that rabbit hole today. However, there's been a lot of campaigning that we need to stop this, etc. The horse is already bolted. I say with anything, let's focus on what we can do, not what we can't do. So the horse is bolted. State legislation has already passed to say that paper titles are null and void. So even if you've still got yours, put it in a pretty frame, keep it for sentimental reasons, but it literally means nothing. Go to your council, if you haven't already, and get the digital copy, right? Now, once you have that, you're going to see the private company that holds the digital asset. So let's focus on what we can do. First in time, first in law. He who makes claim bears burden of proof. So if down the track we're worried about that digital asset being edited fraudulently, what can we do to prove that that is our property, that we've spent 20 years paying it off or 20 years living there and that's something that we own? So I'm just talking out loud. I've shared this with a few Warrior at Law members and some of my friends. Here's what we could do, right? So we can't go back in time. And so let's have a look at how we can prove it. A couple of things. So if you purchase your home with a mortgage, you'll have a couple of contracts. You'll have the mortgage agreement. You'll have the bill of sale, the sales contract. You'll have your first invoice that you ever received for the almighty horrible council rates, right? You'll probably have letters from conveyancing solicitors toing and fro regarding that contract. So you have all of that. Great. If you purchased it outright, you've still got the contract of sale. And Harkin is not happy with all the tradies coming past this place today, so please forgive Harkin. I'll apologise on his behalf. So we've got all this evidence. Now what are we going to do with it? First of all, we should have an affidavit of truth. Now, usually we would say, create your own affidavit of truth. However, for this specific process, it could be wise to actually, let's use the system against the system. Whatever state you're in, if you go to, the Queensland government website, somewhere on there you will be able to download the form or the template of how they like affidavits to be. Let's use that, all right, because we want to get our ducks in a row and we want them to comprehend the language that we're speaking. We need to speak their language. So although, if you write your own affidavit, that's fantastic. But for this particular task, I recommend look like a duck, quack like a duck. So go to your state government, download that form and an affidavit of truth. I, Betty Smith, purchased 34 Baker Street on the 14th of October, 1999, etc. Dates. An affidavit must just be facts, no emotion whatsoever. So just the facts, and then take it to your local JP, and the JP can witness your signature and witness the document. So that's that. Then you also want to write a notice, and this notice is giving notice to several entities. I've mentioned them just before. So we want to give notice to the Land Titles Office, the council that you're in, the digital holding company that's holding the digital certificates, and if you still have a mortgage on the property, also the bank. So this notice plus an affidavit of truth plus certified copies of the original sales contract, the original mortgage contract, right? Anything else, even a photocopy of the original paper certificate if you still have the blessings to have that, right? The first council rates notice, all those things. Make sure they're all certified by a JP. So you've got 4 bundles. Okay, I would actually make 5, an original to keep for yourself. Those 5 bundles, I would then get notarized by a public notary. And then you would send that pack with the notice, the affidavit, and the evidence, the proof, right? To show first in time, first in law. And you would send that to the land titles office, the council, the bank, if you still have a mortgage with it, and the private IT company that's holding all the digital assets. The 5th pack you'd keep in your safe. Or if you do use a member of the Bar Association, which is a public process, if you do use a member of the Bar Association as solicitor, they could hold a copy as well. So that's something that we can do, so that if anything nefarious, dodgy happened down the track, you would have proof of that. If you wanted to take it one step further, and I won't dive into this today because I have some goodies to show you, you could also do the Uniform Commercial Code process, the UCC process. If you want to know more about that, again, just let me know and I'll share that with you. And the Uniform Commercial Code process. And before anyone says, well, that's an American process. No, it isn't, right? There's a mutual agreement between Australia and America anyway, the AUSFTA. Go have a look at that. And also, if you go to do a UCC filing, it asks what country you're in from A to Z. So just wanted to mention that. And where did I learn that from? I learned it from a man who's been here for over 30 years in this space, Zev. So you could also list your property on your security asset listing as part of your full UCC filing process as well, and put the property there. And then if you wanted to, you could include all of that. Now, a full UCC filing has an affidavit of truth as part of that anyway, and a security asset list, a copyright notice, a privacy agreement, a hold harmless agreement. So those things are really important when doing a UCC filing. Again, in the past 6 months, since March, a few viral interviews went worldwide about UCC and saying it was the next thing since Nasara, Jassara and Jesus, etc. No. There are some really great living men and women who have been doing this for a very long time, but doing it correctly. And if you miss a step, there's no remedy. All right. So if you want more information about that process that I just shared, it's free. Just came out of my brain just then, right? So, but if you want devil in the detail, just fill out a contact form at Warrior at Law, or shoot me a DM on Insta, and I'm happy to share that, because these things are really important. Peace of mind is really important because we only get one chance in this meat suit. All right, whatever your beliefs are, you might believe you're coming back as a butterfly. You might believe you're going to another higher realm. But in this meat suit, you only get one opportunity, and you can choose to fight a system. That takes a lot of energy and it's probably not good for your heart. You can choose just to step aside and cover all your bases. I'd prefer to do that. So that's that. And then my mate Andrew asked about morning routines. So I used to be really good at morning routines. The last 2 years, not so great. Not so great. However, a good friend of mine who's a doctor, Dr. Alice McKinnon, she always shared about this thing, this little tool here. Before you go to bed at night, first of all, don't look at it in the last hour of going to sleep, right? Our brains do not like that light. But also put it somewhere far, far away from where you sleep, so you're not tempted as soon as you first wake up in the morning to grab it. Because I've fallen into that trap and it's horrible. So put it in desk drawer. If you sleep upstairs, put it downstairs, right? And then get an old-fashioned alarm clock. that's not connected to anything and set that alarm. Pretend it's 1983 and get an analog or digital alarm clock and use that to wake up. Then you can go downstairs, have a bit of a ritual, defrag, listen to an amazing TED talk or meditation, or some education for 20 minutes. Everyone has different physical routines. Some people like to go for a walk. Some people just like to sit and meditate. Some do stretching, yoga, Qigong. Again, Dr. Alice, thank you for sharing about Qigong. So they're all the things that you can do in the morning. I find that my brain, I am a morning person now. I used to be a night owl when I was, in my music industry days, but now I like early mornings. I find that I am really, really productive early morning till about 2 p.m. After that, you're lucky to get me. So anyway, so I really do recommend that. And I actually find daily mantras, because also if you're going to decide what you're going to do for the next day, right? I recommend go to sleep by thinking, what were 3 things I was grateful for today? And what are 3 things I'm looking forward to tomorrow? That's the only thing you should have on your bedside table. And then when you wake up in the morning, it doesn't matter, because you might not wake up in the same mood or the same feeling that you were in the night before. Read that. Remind yourself, well, before I went to bed, right, I was really grateful for these things, and these are the things I'm looking forward to today, to have that kind of shift. Alrighty, so social media can be such a curse, but something that's a blessing is that I have met some amazing members in the community, amazing members of the community. And one of those members is a beautiful, wise woman, Gandhiari, and she's up in Mapleton in Queensland. And we've been meeting to have a one-on-one chat for the last few weeks, and we're very busy women, right? Things keep colliding where we haven't been able to do that. However, I have a beautiful little package from Gandhiari, from Mapleton, and it's been sitting on my desk for the past week and a half because I've been traveling and running these remedy workshops with Zev. And I was in Adelaide last week visiting some amazing projects that are really of service, that are benefiting men, women, children in South Australia. Anyway, oh my gosh, this smells delicious. So if you know me, you know I love tea. Oh my goodness. Okay, so look what she's sent me. Oh my gosh, Gamara tea and Tucker. Very apt that I'm opening it on this yarn and tea today. It's cacao bushmint immune body booster. I love cacao. All right, so health assistance benefits include it can assist nerve and muscle health, support weight loss, boost your mood. It can support healthy skin and nails. It can assist in reduction of risk of coronary disease and stroke, cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure. It supports cardiovascular health, and it's anti-inflammatory, which I absolutely love. It assists in mood healing. Oh my gosh, so much. It supports cognitive function, joint health, and pain relief. Wow. I have adrenal issues and autoimmune issues, and inflammation is a big thing. So thank you so much. Anyway, so next week, when we have a yarn and a tea, this is going to be the tea that I have. And so I'll share with you about that then. But look, I have more presents, which is awesome. While I'm unpacking this, thank you so much for sending this to me. Um, so while I'm unpacking this little gift, please don't hesitate to send me a DM on Insta anytime, or if you go to warrioratlaw.org, Zev has an amazing website. Warrior at Law is a project of a private membership association, which is an unincorporated association under international laws, covenants, and treaties that have been ratified in the main country that Warrior at Law operates in. And membership is free, and there's a wealth of resources on there. And I just happen to see the contact forms that come in. So if you have any questions that you want us to dive into or elaborate on, then please do. If you want details of where you can get this amazing tea, it's on Cabby Cabby and Gubby Gubby Country, and I will share the details for her because, it's in this beautiful fabric bag. I feel emotional. And let's see if I can get it out. It's a beautiful, look at this. This is my new cacao cup. Thank you. And lastly, one of my friends asked me about thoughts about what's happening in the world at the moment. Gosh. They say not to talk about religion or politics, but this isn't about either. So I'm just going to share with you a couple of pieces so that we can pause and reflect on what's going on in the world, but also what's going on in our back garden. And I think in Australia, the majority forgets what's going on in our own backyard. And I implore everyone to just block out days, time, go out to the land and sit there. And as you know, I'm a bit of a chatter. I like to talk. But in those moments, I choose to listen. And there have been some amazing prophets during the history of men and women on this planet in different dispensations of time. And I think different prophets from different tribes, different lands have come here for what is needed at that time. And in the late 1800s, a Persian prophet, Baha'u'llah, shared some great wisdom. And so in light of what's been going on in the world, I just want to share a couple of thoughts about prejudices of all kinds. Prejudices of all kinds, whether religious, racial, patriotic, or political, are destructive of divine foundations in man. All the warfare and bloodshed in humanity, in the history of humans, have been the outcome of prejudice. This earth is one home and native land. God, you may feel it's a universal source, higher power, whatever your beliefs are. God has created mankind with equal endowment and right to live upon the earth. As a city is the home of all its inhabitants, although each may have his individual place of residence therein, so the earth's surface is one wide native land or home for all races of humankind. Racial prejudice or separation into nations and so on is unnatural and proceeds from human motive and ignorance. All are the children and servants of God or a higher power. Why should we be separated by artificial and imaginary boundaries? In the animal kingdom, the doves flock together in harmony and agreement. They have no prejudices. We are human and superior in intelligence. Is it befitting that lower creatures should manifest virtues which lack expression in man? Prejudices of religion, race, or sect destroy the foundation of humanity. All the divisions in the world, hatred, war, and bloodshed, are caused by one or other of these prejudices. The whole world must be looked upon as one single country, all the nations as one nation, all men as belonging to one race. Religions, races, and nations are all divisions of man's making only, and are necessary only in his thought. Before God, there are neither Persians, Arabs, French, nor English. God is God for all. Spirit is spirit, and to him all creation is one. I love that piece. And it's not saying that we have differences, right? I believe it's unity and diversity. I hope everyone has a beautiful day. Like I said, please send in questions, topics to chat about. If you want to be part of these chats and have a yarn with me, put your hand up and speak soon. See ya.